everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we're doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the second weekend numbers for Avatar: The Way of Water. Of course, it is Christmas weekend, and there is a massive storm heading our way that's going to bring sub-freezing temperatures and also incredibly insane wind chill temperatures as well, which will probably have an impact on what people are doing this weekend, and something tells me that a lot of them probably will not be going to the movies. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not these numbers actually hold for Avatar's second weekend. Either way, a 54% projected drop, even if it goes as high as 60%, again, given the situation that we're going to be in, is actually not the worst drop-off in the world for this movie. However, I do think that this film is showing itself to not really be all that impressive of a domestic moneymaker, and obviously in comparison to the international market, that is no surprise, but I think that many people were projecting this film to do a lot better in the domestic market than it is actually doing, so it'll be very interesting to see where this film ends up. We also have new releases, Puss in Boots, which just came out the other day, I Want to Dance with Somebody, which also came out the other day, and Babylon, which also came out today. I'm going to try and go see Babylon at some point, as it does look kind of interesting. For those that don't know, I'm a big fan of Damien Chazelle's Whiplash. I think it's one of the best films of the last several years. Unfortunately, he has not really found his way to match that greatness of his first movie, his first theatrical movie, because all of the other ones just haven't really been that great. So maybe this one has some potential, but I'll have to wait and see, and I'll try and go see that either some point today or tomorrow and get back with y'all as soon as I can. But before going any further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, slap that fire button if you're watching on Odyssey, smash the rumble button as well, and also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with the bell notification on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So Avatar: Way of Water, The Way of Water, is expected to make $61.3 million in its second weekend. Of course, this is also in addition to all of the daily dollars that it is making. Just on Tuesday alone, it made another $18.2 million. So even though its Monday numbers were not all that impressive, we see that its Tuesday numbers actually ended up helping it quite a bit. If we go to the full daily chart, as you can see, $18.2 million on Tuesday of this week versus the $16 million that it made on the Monday of this week. That was after a weekend where it made upwards of $134 million, which is well below that of some of the other films that it's up against. But the fact that it is still making lots of money every single day, and also is projected to make around $61 million on the actual weekend side of it. They project that the film through Sunday will make $259.4 million, which will again be a 54% drop from the previous weekend as far as the actual number of dollars is concerned. And if that number does hold, as they are projecting over at Box Office Pro for it to do, that would be very impressive to say the least, because that would be in the midst of a major cold winter storm coming through, affecting millions upon millions of Americans, and also would be Christmas weekend as well, which Friday and Saturday will probably be decent days for the box office, but Sunday will probably be a pretty dead day overall, as most people on Christmas are going to be spending time with their families, though there are definitely going to be some people going out to see this movie on Sunday, because some people use Christmas as a holiday to go and, after Mass or without going to Mass, go and watch this 3-hour schlogfest instead. But hey, it's their choice to do with their dollar what they wish. I would not recommend it. I don't think it's that very good of an investment, but again, you do you, boo. Puss in Boots is also coming out. This one's an interesting one because the animation, I don't know if you've seen the trailer, the animation for this looks like it has somehow de-aged, and not in a very graceful way. It looks almost as if the effects have gotten worse, which is crazy, seeing that this is a part of a franchise which started back in the early 2000s with the first Shrek movie, and how the effects somehow look worse in certain respects is kind of insane to me. This film, though, it was only expected to make $16.6 million in the 3-day weekend, and having a projected $25.6 million through Sunday, which is, again, not all that impressive when it comes to animated feature releases. This is one of the many reasons why I have a lot of doubts about films coming out next year. This is one of the reasons why I have talked to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers about why I don't think that that the Super Mario Brothers movie is going to make $1 billion, because though there have been some animated films, like Minions, for instance, which is an established film franchise, was able to make over $900 million worldwide, you look to a film like Puss in Boots and you see, okay, this film's not making all that much money. Then again, this is also part part of established franchise, but it's also one of those franchises that I think a lot of people are kind of probably tired with. The question is really ultimately going to be, is Mario Brothers going to be a film that people feel like they have to see in theaters, or is it going to be a film that families think, oh, we can wait for this to come out on whatever streaming platform that it's going to come out on, right? And I think that's what probably a lot of parents are feeling about with Puss in Boots, right? They're looking at this and saying, this looks like a straight to DVD movie, this looks like a straight to Disney Plus movie, this looks like a straight to streaming service, right? Whatever it's going to be. And so therefore, they're just going to probably hold off on going to see it for that very reason. So that's the reason why I say that it's not necessarily a guarantee for films like even Super Mario Brothers next year to make $1 billion or to make a lot of money, simply because it is an animated IP that has a lot of people, has a lot of name recognition, etc. Because we do see examples of films, again, granted, not nearly as large as Super Mario Brothers, but still large enough to where you would expect it to make a little bit more than this. So very interesting that over the Christmas weekend and over this week, where so many are out of school and out of work, this film is not expected to make all that much money. I've not done the number crunching on this to see what the actual projected budget is. We'll go ahead and do it live because we like to do things live here on OMB Reviews because it lets you see the process in real time. So according to Wikipedia, it's claiming that the budget for this film, according to Variety, was $90 million. That is not very good at all. $90 million means this film needs to make well over $200 million worldwide in order for it to break even. I think it's probably close to $225 or so million that the film has to make worldwide to break even. So if it's projected to only make in the domestic marketplace 25.6, I doubt this film will be that much of a moneymaker internationally. Yikes. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have potentially, at the very least, unless this thing has long holiday legs, another box office flop for an animated feature. I Want to Dance with Somebody from Sony, which is expected to be a wide release, $9.6 million. Again, not all that impressive since no surprise to anyone, Avatar: Way of Water is dominating the box office. Babylon, which is, again, the new film from Damien Chazelle, expected to open to $6.7 million. This will be an interesting one to see how it does down the line, as I imagine this film probably costs a decent amount of money. If you've seen the trailer, this is like a 3-hour plus movie, so it's a longer film. It is also one that features a lot of big actors in it, and it's also a film that seems to feature a lot of just very strong, powerful visuals, so probably not a very cheap movie to make, but it'll be interesting to see where this film ends up by the end of its run. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever expected to make another $3.2 million, which would bring its total domestic to 425.8. And as I've been saying for a long time, I do think that the end domestic number for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is probably going to be closer to $450 million or so. Some people have been saying 430 is the cap. As you can see, I do not think 430 is going to be the cap. I mean, at this point in time, you'd have to say at the very least 435 to 450 would have to be the very minimum, but that's why my range right now is 450 to 500 by the end of its run, because I do expect it to still make some money over the course of the holiday season, though as you can see, it is going to start to be pulled from various theaters, right? It was in 3,200 screens on Wednesday. By tomorrow, by Friday of this week, it'll be out of 400 of those screens, still only dropping though 40%. So again, as you can see, there is a holiday bump coming from this movie. When you're losing out on 400 screens and you're only seeing a 40% drop, I think that is definitely a good sign for that film. Violent Night, which I just got to see the other night, and I will do a review of the film. I thought it was terrible. Expected to make $3.1 million, so it still was able to make its money back. The Whale, a film I'm looking very much forward to, $1.8 million. It's opening up in more screens, so cannot wait for this film to be available near me so that I can go see it. Brendan Fraser looks incredible in the film, and I've heard great things about it. Strange World, $1.2 million, continues to be a massive financial flop for Disney. You then also have the Disney Searchlight Pictures film, The Menu, which I just saw and reviewed on the channel yesterday. Very, very good film. I highly recommend it. One of my favorite films, actually, of the year, and a very surprising favorite film of the year for me, actually. It's probably going to be in my top 5 for the year, to be perfectly honest. I was very, very impressed by this film. This is a movie that I think will probably be able to squeak out breaking even, maybe by the end of its holiday season. But as you can see, it is starting to run out of some room, but it also doesn't have that much money to make back. And then you also have The Fabelmans, which continues its very limited run. Be very interesting to see where this film ends up financially speaking. Looking at, again, the numbers themselves, Avatar: The Way of Water making these daily numbers is quite impressive. And we look to the worldwide total for that film, it's now over $500 million worldwide. It's made $555.9 million, which is very, very impressive. If you look to the box office tracking on the numbers, as you can see, it is definitely not coming in underneath historical norms. at least according to the numbers tracking. It's not towards the higher end, it's not towards the lower end. Right now, it's pretty much square in the middle. And that's why I do project that this film probably could end up somewhere between $600 and $700 million domestic by the end of its run. We'll have a better idea of where this film will end up when I'm able to do my box office projections on Sunday. But there will be that caveat that the holiday season, that this coming out during a winter storm, or rather the second weekend being during this massive winter storm, which I think is going to impact people more than they realize. I think there's probably going to be a lot more power outages than people realize. So there's going to be theaters that are going to be closed for that reason, people not being able to go out of their house because of the dangerous conditions. I mean, there's going to be tons of things that are going to really be going against this film domestically, right, in the United States especially, this coming weekend. But I really honestly think that the big story with this movie, as I've been saying for a while, is and ultimately will be the international box office. It already made $387.3 million. So I think that this film can likely expect, if this is just after a week, we're looking at this film getting close to probably $500 million or so by the end of its second weekend internationally. So I would say $1 billion is on the table for this movie just from the international market. You then take into account that this movie has a good chance of being able to get to at least maybe $500 million domestically. And that's the reason why, for me, I'm still thinking that the numbers are still panning out in a way where I think $1.5 to $2 billion worldwide is still very much on the table, meaning that this film still has a good chance of making, not just making its money back if it hits $1 billion, but also has a good chance of being the highest grossing film of 2022. I don't want to see that happen. You all know I'm not a fan of this film. I thought this film was just, again, another long, CGI fest, James Cameron fest, ego fest on display, just like the first film was, with, again, just as uninspiring of a story as the first film, maybe slightly better, but still having, the same soulless mentality and the soulless cash grab mentality to it, where he's just, again, serving himself and his own purposes. I think that ultimately, though, even though I dislike the film as much as I do, I still obviously think that the film is doing well enough financially, specifically in the international market, where that is going to be where it makes the bulk of its money. So it's still going to be far less than the first film. And if you take into account the inflated ticket price of 2022 versus what it was back 13 years ago for the first movie, you're going to see that this film is going to have brought in so much less money, not just financially, but also people. So many less tickets are going to be having sold for this movie. And so I think Disney's going to have to look ahead and say, do we continue to prop up these other Avatar films? Again, they're obviously, Avatar 3 is already done from what we've been told. It's supposedly 9 hours long, and he actually wants to render, James Cameron's crazy enough to want to have them pay to render out the CGI effects for the movie in a 9-hour cut before any cuts are actually made. So you're looking at a film that's budget's likely going to balloon just like this one did, right? Originally, this film was supposed to cost $250 million, ended up costing closer to $400 to $460 million, depending on the reports that you see. So expect the third film to balloon that way. Expect the fourth film, the fifth film, all the films to balloon in their budgets to such a massive degree. It would just not surprise me at all to see Disney maybe having to look at this and say, okay, do we continue to pump in all of this money into this passion project by James Cameron? Are we contractually obligated to do so? Or do we maybe push the brakes on this franchise and say, you know what, maybe we're going to condense the last few movies down because, yeah, it's making over $1 billion, but that does not mean that we're making our money back. And is it really worth it in the end? Who knows? Again, these companies really, it seems, don't have that much of a problem losing money. I think films like Strange World is a great example of that from Disney, especially $200 million of a loss to try to push some type of an agenda is something that they are very much used to. And so having that in Avatar and continuing to push whatever James Cameron wants to push maybe isn't outside of the realm of possibility, but it is still something for us, I think, to start thinking about at this point in time. But what are y'all's thoughts about the Christmas box office weekend? Do you think Avatar Way of Water is going to dominate as much as they are projecting it? Again, it sounds about right to me. I would be, again, not surprised if the film came in a little bit underneath what they're projecting simply because of that winter storm. Again, we're starting to get some of those conditions today and tomorrow. I know that for us here in Tennessee, we're going to start to see the single digits. That's right. We're going to be in the single digits here in Chattanooga, which is very uncommon for us, even during the wintertime. We're going to have that happen sometime tomorrow afternoon into the evening. We might get a little bit of snow tonight, which is what I'm hoping for, at least some positive thing coming out of this terrible thing. No matter where you are in the country, please be safe over the next day or two, as I know it's impacting already people who are in the northern part of the United States. The storm is starting to, cross into even places like Missouri at some point point today. So if you're in any of those areas or any of the areas that are in this path, please be safe. Please travel safe if you're traveling, and please stay warm as well. And I will, of course, keep everyone in my prayers. And let me know your thoughts about that as well in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, slap that fire button, Odyssey, and smash the rumble button. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Also, I want to ask everyone, if you could, to please pray for Tina B. She is the Empress of the Universe. She is one of my mods on the channel, one of my Valkyrie. She is not doing very well. She is sick, and there's only so many things that I know and that I can say about it. All I can say is that she has given me permission to mention it. So I just want to ask all of you to keep her in your prayers. She wants everyone to know that she's going to beat whatever it is that, she's going to beat what she has. She's going to beat what she's dealing with right now, and that she's going to come back better and stronger than ever. But she does definitely need our support, especially at this point in time. And I think the best way that we can support her is going to be through our prayers and through our positive vibes. So anyway, thank you very much for offering up those prayers for Tina, and thank you again for watching this video and supporting the channel, and of course for Tina. If you get to listen to this at any point, again, thank you for all of the years that you have supported this channel. Know that we have your back, and the Asgardian community especially will always have the back of its own. So anyway, you guys are all amazing. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody, and as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my December Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals members, the long-awaited December video. First off, shout out to my Patreon members, Father Luca Illick, Garrett Searles, Heimir Irie Hymason, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, who you can check out over on his YouTube channel, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Orange Hour Reviews, who also has a YouTube channel you can check out at the same name, Rosetta Allen, who has a YouTube channel known as Eagle Rider, Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel by the same name, Chris from the 80s, who you can also find on YouTube by the same name, and of course the Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out on her YouTube channel, Tina B. She does a show with the other Valkyrie of this channel, Stephanie B, called Soup to Nuts, so go ahead and check that out if you are interested. It's a very fun time talking about movies and all kinds of movie history as well. Also, shout out to my Subscribestar peeps, Matt317, who you can check out over on his Twitch channel by the same name, the R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and the K-Man, who you can check out on Twitter, but also on his website, xtheboundaries.co, to check out his latest music musings, as well as his upcoming podcast as well. Also, to my Locals members, Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win, J.H. Schwalbach, Brett D90, and the amazing lawyer, Robert Barnes. Thank you very much for being my supporters over on Locals. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every video and live stream, please check out the top link in the video description below, where you can sign up to get access to not only vocal shoutouts, but also to giveaways of Blu-rays, 4Ks, and Blu-ray sets as well. Right now, I'm giving away things like Nobody on 4K. I just got a bunch of ones in last night. Shawshank Redemption on 4K last night, in Soho on 4K. Some steelbooks of the Godfather trilogy on 4K as well. Tons of stuff to do for giveaways, so check out, again, that top link to find out how to sign up to become a Keep It the Bifrost level or above to get access to that, as well as things like the Chosen of Valhalla monthly member stream, and also other goodies like the podcast that I do with John the Flick Pig Flickinger, which we'll be recording our episode for this month in the next day or two, so be on the lookout for that if you are a member of the Army of Asgard level and above. Thank you all very much for your time and attention. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful rest of your December, and as always, God bless.